the WNBA Executive Committee has been authorized to call a strike when necessary.
But here's where it stops feeling like negotiation and starts feeling like disrespect. When a deadline gets ignored, the message is simple. We're not in a rush, and you can't force us. That's why people are framing it like the players' union lost it. Because deadlines aren't just dates, they're leverage. If one side can ignore the clock with no consequences, the other side has only two options: fold or fight. Therefore, the tone online gets harsher. The language gets bigger. Crisis. Chaos. Breaking. Because everyone knows what happens next in sports labor fights. The story doesn't cool down, it escalates. But the part that makes this go truly viral is when Caitlyn's name starts showing up in the middle of it. But listen closely to how people are talking about this.
For people to be blaming Caitlin Clark is beyond sinister to me. How could you blame somebody that helped lifted all the boats, helped pretty much get y'all this $2 billion media rights deal, and then turn around and blame her for the things that is happening with the WNBA, blaming the fans that came, blaming everything. But to me, it's looking like they could be using Caitlin Clark as a scapegoat for this situation not getting done.
It's not just players versus owners anymore. It's the league's biggest asset is now part of the leverage. And whether you love Caitlin Clark or you're sick of hearing her name, you can't deny the reality. She moves attention, tickets, ratings, and headlines. Caitlin didn't start the CBA fight, but her popularity makes her the center of it. Therefore, people start framing the entire debate around a simple question. Is the league building a future where stars like Caitlin get protected and marketed properly? Or is it building a future where everyone gets treated the same, even if the numbers are not the same? And that's where the tension gets ugly, because both sides can make a case. Players want fairness and stability. Owners want control and cost certainty. But the internet only wants one thing: a villain. But then the story flips again, because suddenly it's not abstract. It's not the league and the union. It becomes a real person with a real name. But this is why creators love tying a star player to negotiations, because it instantly makes the situation feel personal. It turns labor talks into somebody just made a move. And when a top name gets linked to CBA turbulence, fans read it as a signal. When a star is connected to negotiation chaos, everyone assumes more stars are about to follow.
And it's looking real spooky with Napheesa Collier, man. As ratings drop for Unrivaled, now she's trying to use Caitlin Clark as leverage in these CBA negotiations. We heard Napheesa Collier stating that, well, in my process of running a league, I understand how viewership works. I understand how all of these different tangibles play a factor with getting a media rights deal done, with getting players the correct salary. Well, I am here to tell you, dog. Judging off the latest information.
Therefore, people start asking the scary questions. Is this the first crack? Is this the warning shot? Is this what it looks like right before a league-wide fight turns into a league-wide problem? And here's the sneaky part. Even if nothing official has happened yet, the perception alone can change behavior. Fans panic. Media spins up. Comment sections go nuclear. Players get asked about it. Coaches get asked about it. The league gets forced to respond to a story it didn't want to become public. But while everyone is staring at CBA language and union pressure, another headline hits, one that feels unrelated, until you realize it's the same power struggle in a different costume. But this is where the conflict stops living in meeting rooms and starts living in public optics. The Olympics aren't just games, they're branding, they're politics, they're legacy. And when a story gets framed as the commissioner is furious and a coach won't let Caitlin join, it's doing something very specific. It's telling the audience there's a closed door and somebody is guarding it.
Feel like the players have lost sense of reality a little bit, because imagine putting up a rat that a lot of unions do when it comes to like schools, construction companies, people that are making a lot less than the kind of money that the WNBA players are making. They got offered a max salary of over $1 million. Their max salary last year was $250,000, and now it's over $1 million. And then on top of that, the average salary is around $500,000. And then you're putting a rat out in public display. I don't know. I feel like you've lost sense of reality a little bit. That's not the real world. The real world does not want to hear constantly about millionaires' problems.
When people believe Caitlyn is being blocked from a bigger stage, it doesn't feel like strategy. It feels like sabotage. Therefore, the narrative turns from CBA negotiations into their controlling access. And that's why the outrage travels faster than facts, because you don't need every detail to feel the emotion of it. It hits the same nerve as every Caitlyn controversy. Is the league benefiting from her while also trying to limit her? But now we get to the cleanest proof point. The one that makes all of this feel less like opinion and more like math. But the reason this is blowing up right now isn't because fans suddenly got dramatic. It's because the conversation shifted from pay disputes to something way scarier: control.
So it looked like Caitlin Clark is being blamed for the epic fail for the WNBA. Now, it's no secret that the WNBA has hostile players, bro. We all witnessed it during the 2025 and 24 season. These players pretty much hate Caitlin Clark with a passion. And I'm here to tell you right now, the hate is growing even stronger because many people in the Players Association and people in the media is blaming Caitlin Clark for potentially being the one holding out when it comes to the CBA not getting done.
And once the word lockout enters the chat, everything changes. Because a lockout isn't a debate, it's a shutdown button. If you're wondering why Caitlin Clark keeps getting dragged into this, that's the point. This isn't just about one contract or one player. This is about who controls the future of the WNBA now that the money is finally real. But this is the reason Caitlyn's name keeps getting used like gasoline. Because when she isn't attached, the numbers can tell a different story. And when the numbers drop, people don't interpret it as normal audience fluctuation. They interpret it as a verdict. If ratings tank when Caitlyn isn't involved, it tells everyone who the attention really follows. Therefore, this becomes the final evidence that fuels every other headline. Owners leverage it, players argue against it, fans weaponize it, and creators turn it into a simple, viral message. See, this is what happens without her. But here's the part most people miss. All 6 stories are the same story. They're not random headlines. They're not separate dramas. They're different camera angles of one fight. The league is trying to grow up fast, and everyone wants to control what happens next. But you can't have a league that depends on one megastar for attention, while also pretending that star doesn't change the economics. Therefore, Caitlin Clark becomes the symbol in the middle, whether she asked for it or not. To one side, she's the proof the league is finally worth more. To the other side, she's the excuse owners will use to justify decisions that don't help the players as a whole. And to the internet, she's the character that makes every complicated negotiation feel like a movie. The WNBA isn't fighting about Caitlin Clark's talent. It's fighting about what her attention is worth, and who gets to decide. That's why lockout is being whispered. That's why deadline ignored feels like a slap. That's why star players get pulled in. That's why Olympic access becomes a battlefield. And that's why unrivaled ratings become a weapon. But the scariest part is what happens next. Because once both sides realize Caitlyn's popularity is leverage, the negotiations stop being about numbers on paper. They become about public pressure, about optics, about who can win the audience.
If you were an opposing coach game planning to stop Caitlin Clark, what would you do?
Pray.
Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterwards. She knows how to spark the crowd.
They're all the same fight, because right now, the WNBA isn't just basketball, it's attention. And Caitlin Clark is the center of that attention, whether the league likes it or not. So I'm going to run through the biggest narratives exploding online, one by one, and connect the dots. You'll see why this isn't random drama. It's a power struggle. Headline number 1. And this is the one that keeps coming back in different forms. Team USA didn't want Caitlin Clark on the Olympic stage. Now, people online exaggerate this as banned or blacklisted, but the emotional point is the same. Fans look at Caitlin and think, that's the face of women's basketball. So when she's not on the biggest roster, the public doesn't treat it like a normal basketball decision. They treat it like politics. And the problem with that is simple. Once fans decide it's politics, every coach, every executive, and every person involved becomes a target. Therefore, the internet doesn't ask, was it the right roster? They ask, who blocked her? And once that question starts trending, everything gets messy. You get sources, you get inside reports, you get tense meetings. You even get people claiming decision makers are losing their jobs over it. Some of that is real pressure, but some of it is just the internet trying to build a villain. But either way, it turns Team USA into a symbol, not a basketball team. A symbol of who the sport wants to protect. And if you're Caitlin Clark, that means every big decision becomes a referendum on you. Headline number 2. Angel Reese got overlooked again, and fans are furious. That's the pattern, even when the exact details change. Because Angel lives under a microscope too. But it's a different microscope than Caitlin's. Caitlin gets judged like a savior. Angel gets judged like a provocation. So when Angel doesn't get a nod, whether it's a roster conversation, a media push, or a major honor, it becomes instant outrage. And here's why. People don't just debate Angel Reese as a player. They debate what she represents. Therefore, every headline turns into a moral argument, not a basketball argument. One side says she's disrespected. The other side says she's overrated. And the league gets caught in the middle because the league wants attention. But the attention it's getting is pure conflict. And the craziest part is this. The internet doesn't even need a real incident to keep the feud alive. It just needs a new angle. Because Caitlin versus Angel is the easiest story engine in women's sports. Different characters, same machine. But the machine doesn't care who wins. It just needs you to pick a side. Headline number 3. Paige Beckers is getting pushed as the next Caitlin. And it's backfiring. This is a huge reason the discourse has gotten so toxic. Paige is a star, a real one. She's skilled. She's marketable. She has the story. But the moment people start forcing her into a Caitlin comparison, the internet turns it into a fight. Instead of letting Paige be Paige, they turn it into, is she better? Is she more polished? Is she the real deal or hype? But that's not fair to Paige, and it's not even about Paige. It's about the audience craving another face of the league. And Caitlin broke the system. She didn't just bring fans. She brought new fans who don't care about tradition. They care about impact. They care about moments. They care about highlights that feel like NBA energy. Therefore, anyone mentioned near Caitlin gets pulled into a ranking war. And that's how you end up with ridiculous labels like fraud or hoax floating around. Not because there's some secret scandal, but because comparison content is fast, easy, and viral. But it damages the sport long term because it teaches casual viewers one thing. Women's basketball only matters if it's a feud. Headline number 4. Nike just made it clear who they're betting on. This is the quiet part that changes everything. Because brands don't spend millions for fun. Brands pick winners. And Nike doesn't sell shoes. Nike sells legacy. So when Caitlin gets a major campaign, the message isn't subtle. The message is, this is the athlete we're building around. And the hidden meaning people talk about in ads usually isn't a secret symbol. It's how they frame her. They don't frame her like a rookie. They frame her like a movement. They don't show her fitting in. They show the game adjusting to her. Therefore, every time a brand pushes Caitlin harder, it creates a tension inside the league. Because now it's not just WNBA fans watching. It's casual sports fans. It's NBA fans. It's young athletes who never watched a WNBA game before. And once those people enter the room, the old gatekeeping starts to crack. But the league has to decide what it wants. Does it want growth or does it want control? Headline number 5. The Fever locker room looks different now, and you can feel it. This is where names like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull start trending next to Caitlin. Not because they're chasing attention, but because the audience is craving one thing: protection. Fans don't just want Caitlin to hit threes. They want her to stop getting hit. They want to see the Fever push back. They want to feel like the team is done being polite. And that's why insider clips go viral. A hard foul, a teammate stepping in, a post-game comment that sounds just angry enough. A moment where the camera catches a stare. That's all it takes. Because to the public, that reads like, oh, something is happening behind the scenes. Therefore, the story becomes bigger than basketball. It becomes, is the league targeting her? Are refs letting it happen? Are her teammates fed up? And when that narrative takes over, the league loses control of the messaging. Creators control it. And creators will always push it further than the truth, because the truth is slower. Drama is faster. Headline number 6. Off-season leagues are becoming leverage, and it's freaking people out. This is what all the talk about unrivaled and side leagues really means. It's not the WNBA is dying. It's leverage. Players want options. Sponsors want stability. Fans want the biggest stars in one place. But once new leagues enter the conversation, it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty spreads like wildfire, because it threatens the one thing the WNBA needs most right now: momentum. Because the Caitlin Clark era is bringing new viewers in. But if those viewers feel like everything is chaotic, politics, jealousy, messy narratives, constant feuds, they won't stay. They'll leave, and they'll take the boom with them. Now step back and connect all 6 stories. Team USA drama shows who gets protected. Angel Reese drama shows how identity gets weaponized. Page comparisons show the internet's obsession with the next Caitlin. Nike campaigns show the money has already picked a side. Fever tension shows the league is getting more physical and emotional. And side league chatter shows the power structure is shifting. Therefore, here's the real question. Is the WNBA going to treat Caitlin Clark like a foundation? Or like a resource to strip mine? Because a lot of people love saying, Caitlin will save the league. But at the same time, they act like they want to humble her. They want her to earn it. They want to punish the hype. They want to control the narrative. But you can't do both. You can't ask her to carry the league, and also let the league chew her up. And the scary part is this. It only takes one more moment, one more roster controversy, one more clip that looks like targeting, one more brand move that feels like a power play, for everything to tilt. Therefore, watch what happens next, because the next big story won't be about a highlight. It'll be about whether the league finally admits what this era really is: a basketball boom or a civil war.
Look like Caitlin Clark has told the shocking truth about her 2025 injuries. Now, when it comes to Caitlin Clark injuries, bro, we know that was a topic of discussion here on my channel and around the sports world. It was looking like, from the outside looking in, that the Indiana Fever was doing a poor job in making sure Caitlin Clark returned to the basketball court. We've seen Scott Atkins get into some hot water over an alleged ankle injury.
Caitlin Clark just broke her silence in a Kelsey interview, and she did not dodge the big topics. On New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelsey, the Indiana Fever star finally talked about what fans keep asking for: her signature shoe, the injury year, Team USA, and why her next chapter feels different.
Hey, Caitlin Clark, closing out the year on the New Heights podcast with Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey, gives us some insight, some information on what the holdup could have been for Caitlin Clark's signature shoe to come out. She's talking about a specific new technology that they are implementing in the shoe, the first to be done in a basketball shoe. She also talked about some things that she's looking forward to as far as collaborations go.
This was not a fluffy podcast stop. Caitlin gave real answers, but she also left a few open loops on purpose, especially about what is inside her shoe. So let's walk through what she revealed and why it matters.
Also, we have somebody known to probably everybody in the country at this point. Caitlin Clark is here, making her second appearance on the podcast.
New Heights introduces her like it is a main event, and Caitlin matches the energy. They bring up the Nike ad first.
Let's get back to Nike though. I gotta ask some questions because I'm such a huge sneaker fan. You said that you're wearing the new kicks coming up this season.
Yeah.
I honestly, for everyone that doesn't know like the process that goes into like making the sneakers, like how long in advance has it been, or like when does it all start? Do they come to you with a shoe, a bunch of shoes? Do you kind of get to tweak them here and there? How is that process?
Yeah, I think it's honestly been like probably one of the coolest things I've got to do since, honestly, the process started at the end of my senior year when I was at Iowa, because I was deciding what shoe company I was going to go with. And I talked to Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour, and they all offered me a signature shoe, obviously some faster than others. And, you know, everybody knows Nike makes the best product. It just kind of takes a little bit longer. And so I grew up wanting to be a Nike athlete. Every kid does. Nike, Jordan, like that's the premier brand, and everybody knows that.
Caitlin explains why it felt personal. The people in it are real parts of her journey, not random faces. Therefore, the ad feels less like a promo and more like a message. But the bigger point is what she says about the rollout. Caitlin explains the campaign is the start of a longer build that leads into her signature shoe. Fans want a date, but she does not lock in a day. She does make one thing clear though. This is a full runway, and she says the plan is for the shoe to eventually drop after this year-long launch.
It's probably been like a year and a half now of like figuring out what exactly I want. And I think probably the most challenging part of it is like you want it to be unique, but at the same time, like I have to be comfortable wearing it. So I think we kind of like, you kind of take what you know you're comfortable in. Like obviously I play in a lot of Kobe's, but at the same time, I don't want it to be a Kobe. I want it to be something very unique to me and a little bit different. And I think for myself, like, you know, I kind of think about like what's kind of been important to me when I think about like shoes or sneakers. And I think like just the chaseability of them and like.
She also hints at the part fans care about most, wearing it on the court. She talks about getting people excited with the logo first, and with merch already out. Even the Kelsey brothers are wearing it, which makes the moment feel real. Therefore, this is not a rumor anymore. It is a rollout.
But more so, I think I'm more excited about like making the certain colorways or collabing with certain brands or whatever it is. I know I definitely got a Chiefs colorway on the way, or PE or something. Maybe we can get Andy Reid to like coach in them at some point or something.
Are you kidding me?
Or we can turn them into a cleat, or we get something like that.
Oh,
but
listen, you're speaking to me now. I'm game.
Then the tone shifts to the part she could have avoided: injuries. Caitlin says it was not one setback, it was a cycle. You rehab, you return, something else pops up, and suddenly you are behind again. She admits it was draining, because when you cannot run for a while, it feels like you have to learn your body all over again.
To get back out there, it had been a minute, so like it was just obviously a long and like tough year of reoccurring injuries, and like you guys know how that goes. Like when you get one nagging thing, it kind of leads to another. So it wasn't obviously how I envisioned it, and it stunk, but like we still kind of found a way. Like our team, like we had like 6 of our players go down with injuries. It was unreal, and we still had a great year. Made it to the semifinals, and yeah, we were like a game away from the finals, and so that was pretty impressive considering kind of what we went through. But it was a long process to like just get back on the court, because when you have like the groins and the, you know, quads and whatever you're dealing with, it's like you don't run for a while, so like it's weird like learning to run again in a way.
But she does not use it as an excuse. She frames it like a test of patience. You still have to show up. You still have to stay locked in. You still have to love the grind, even when your body is not doing what you want.
And then on top of that, like going to like play versus the best players again, and like just getting tossed out back into the fire. But it was fun. Like, I mean, I probably wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Like you get thrown back out there with the best players in the world, and you see like you're right where you were before you got hurt. And it was only 3 days, so it was cool. And it was at Duke, which is obviously one of the most historic basketball places ever. So that was a pretty cool thing too.
She also points out the Fever dealt with injuries too, and they still found ways to compete. Therefore, the year did not go how she pictured it, but it sharpened her mentally. And right when you expect the conversation to stay safe, Team USA comes up. Caitlin explains she went to camp, and it was fun, but intense. She basically got thrown back out there with the best players while she was still building back her legs. She even mentions being at Duke, which makes it feel like a serious basketball moment, not just a photo op. Then she lays out her timeline in a calm way. World Cup in 2026, Olympics in 2028, no begging, no drama, just focus. Therefore, it sounds like a plan, not a hope. But Caitlin also shows the human side of it. They joke about jersey numbers, and she explains she got number 17 as a newcomer. It is not some perfect story. It is just what you get when you are the new person in the room. She also mentions international rules can limit number choices, so you learn to take what you are given and move on. After that, they shift to something lighter, dunking. Caitlin is honest. A lot of dunking is genetics and timing, but she flips it into a real lesson. Shooting can be learned if your form is built early. And this is where she shares a detail that explains a lot about her game. She talks about how her dad would not let her launch deep shots with bad mechanics. She hated it at the time, but he kept forcing the basics. Therefore, the range you see now is not just talent. It is years of doing it the right way. But the centerpiece of the interview is still the shoe. When they circle back, Caitlin confirms it was not only Nike calling. Other big brands came to the table with offers, including the promise of a signature shoe. Some paths would have been faster, some would have been easier. But she chose Nike anyway, and her reason is simple. She believes Nike makes the best basketball shoe, and she wants the best product, not the fastest headline. Therefore, she was willing to wait, even if fans got impatient. Then, she adds the identity piece. Caitlin says she plays in certain Kobe models, but she does not want her shoe to feel like a copy of someone else. She wants it to feel like her, but still perform at the highest level. Because a signature shoe is not just a logo. It has to work when you are sprinting, stopping, cutting, and landing for 40 minutes. And now, we get the biggest tease. Caitlin says comfort has been a huge part of the process, because she knows exactly what she needs on court. She even says she needs that technology everywhere, not just in one small part of the shoe. But the wild part is what she teases next. The technology going into her shoe is something Nike has never put into a basketball shoe before. She will not say what it is yet, but she explains why that detail matters. Some fans do not just buy shoes, they study them. She brings up how people will cut shoes open just to see what is inside. Therefore, she knows the hoop world is going to obsess over this thing the second it drops. So what did Caitlin really do on the Kelsey podcast? She set expectations. She told fans the shoe is coming, but it is being built the right way. She admitted the injury year was rough, but it strengthened her. And she made it clear Team USA is part of her future with a real timeline. But the biggest change is the vibe. Caitlin sounds more certain. Therefore, this next chapter is not about proving she belongs. It is about building something that lasts. If you are still watching, comment New Heights. Because the moment that shoe finally hits the court, the league is going to react.